Hey cuties, I'm Lanikia and you're watching What Happened on the Soaps. This is the bold and the beautiful edition. All right, y'all, let's jump right into this. We see today is Monday, November the 14th, 2022. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give a little Douglas. Because he was just giving Thomas the real, I'm going to give him a 10 and he could just share it with everyone else. He was really acting his part out today. So we see Ridge and Taylor. She says, oh my gosh, I know this was so hard for you, to get this ask Brooke from this annulment. He was like, yes, it was. I said, what? But he said, yes, it was. She said, but I understand. You didn't even tell me about it. And he's just like, it has to be done. And she says, do you regret like being with her, being with Taylor? And he says, I regret being with someone who's not going to lie to me? And she said, does that mean that Brooke? He said, I don't want to talk about it. And she said, Ridge. And he said, I don't want to talk about Brooke. I said, Taylor, talk to him about it. Ridge ain't right. He is not right. Because he knows if he told Taylor the real reason why he was coming to her, she might not be with him. But anyways, he tells Taylor, they, are kissing and they're just happy and reminiscing. And they said, let's talk about family. And then he tells her he has to go. And so then she gets a text message that says, come to the showroom. So she comes to the showroom. He said, do you remember when you wore the showstopper, stole the show? And they were just reminiscing. And then he had the showstopper, and then he was down on one knee and proposed to Taylor. And of course she said yes, because my girl is happy. And listen, if you like it, I love it, girl. Lord, y'all. That's going to be a whole mess. I said, well, come on, hurry this wedding up so y'all can find out what Thomas has done. Hurry up. But let's move on. So then Donna and Brooke come together, right? And she says, Brooke, you signed an annulment. She said, yes, I signed it because I'm not finna keep a man that don't want to be kept. That's what I heard. And Donna said, but he loves you. She said, I know he does. But something Thomas has done makes him feel like he can't trust, that he had to end our marriage. And Donna said, well, what does Thomas have to do with it? She said, that's what he's implying, that something is done with Thomas. And that's the reason why he ended our marriage. So then Donna starts telling Brooke about how Thomas was really going in on Douglas. She didn't like the way he was talking to her. And she was like, why? And she said it was this app. And while she was trying to tell her what was going on, Thomas walked in. So then we see before Thomas gets there, he's actually talking to Douglas, and he's just telling him it's very disrespectful that you won't delete this app. And you keep playing with it, even though I've told you not to. And Douglas is like, I don't understand. Like, everyone thinks it's funny. Everyone loves it. You're the only person that has a problem with it, is what I heard. And he says, well, I told you to delete it, and I mean that. Like, you have to delete this app. I don't like that. He said, so go upstairs to your room right now and you delete this app. And so little Douglas was like, fine. So then we see Donna, she leaves because Thomas tells Brooke he would like to speak to her alone. And she was like, okay. And at first Donna didn't want to leave her alone with him, but Brooke was like, it's fine. So Donna leaves and everything. And so Thomas talks to Brooke and she says, Hope is not here. And he said, again, I came to talk to you. And so she's like, what do you want? I know you heard about the annulment. And he said, I did. And she says, what are you here to gloat? He says, no, I'm not here to gloat or rub your face in it, even though the good guys won. And she said, good guys, really? This isn't about bad or good. This is, it was her marriage. And Thomas says, you never tried to love me. You never tried to like me. You never tried to, support me. And she says, when I helped raise you, she said it was just these last few years that I was like, something ain't right with him. And he said, in these last few years, you haven't given me any support. And honestly, Thomas, what do you expect? Look what you did to her daughter. No, she was not going to give you that support. And so she pretty much tells him, I don't trust you. Now, Ridge, Taylor, Hope, everyone else can trust you. He said, well, I don't need your trust. You don't have to trust me. All I need is, my dad and my family and Hope's trust. And she said, they're making a mistake trusting you, to be quite honest with it, but it is what it is. And then she told him, but what you're not going to do is hurt my daughter or Douglas ever again the way that you did. you know how Brooke go, I won't allow it. Like, I don't think she said that, but that's what I heard. And so that's just it. I don't know why Thomas came over. Honestly, I don't know why he came over here. He said he didn't come over to gloat, but then he tells her that I just want to make sure you don't do anything like you did in Aspen, where you show up and try to talk my dad out of this. And you don't want her talking to your dad anymore because you don't want your dad being tempted to tell Brooke about the CPS call. That's why you don't want her talking to your dad anymore. But it is what it is. Everybody feels too entitled to just show up at each other's places, and like Thomas just walked right in. Like, what? Lock the door. You know what I mean? Lock the door sometimes. But anyways, that's what he said. So then we go to Lil Douglas. So he's upstairs and he's about to delete the app, but then he sees where Donna had said you can restore him, and he was like, oh my gosh, you can. So he just wanted to listen to the messages one last time. And so then he heard a message and he said, what is Grandma Brooke doing out here? And then he keeps listening. And he said, wait, she called CPS on my dad. Then he says, wait, that's that's the recording. That's the processing. Who did the original recording? And he hears his dad's voice and he says, my dad called CPS on himself? And so then Thomas comes and Douglas hides his phone when Thomas comes in. He says, why are you looking guilty? You deleted it like I told you, right? He said, I was about to. This is Douglas to Thomas. I was about to, but then I wanted to hear the recordings one more time. And he says, oh, Donna doesn't know. This is Thomas to Douglas. Donna doesn't know what she's talking about. You can't restore the recordings. And Douglas says, actually, you can. And I did. And I listened to him again. And Thomas is like, oh, yeah, you did? He said, yes. And I heard the call to CPS from Grandma Brooke. And he says, yeah, she doesn't want us to be together. I'm sorry. And he says, Dad, I'm not an idiot. Grandma Brooke is the process call, but then the original was you. You called CPS on yourself. He was like, I think you're mistaken. And Lil Douglas was like, no, I'm not. You did this on yourself because you wanted to break up Grandma Brooke and get it so Dad can be with Grandma Taylor. And he says, okay. So Thomas admits, yes, I did do that. And he said, but it's wrong. But I had to because Grandma Brooke, she said she was going to call on me before I called. So I had to, stop that because she doesn't want you living here. She doesn't want you being with us, being with me and everything. And so little Douglas is just like, that's wrong. And he says, yes, it is wrong. He says, no, Dad, I'm talking about you. He had me hollering. He said, you're wrong for doing that. Like that. That's not right. And he said, it reminds me of when you knew that baby Beth was alive and you lied about it. It reminds me of that. And Thomas says, it's not like that. He said, and I guarantee you it won't end the way that ended. I said, and Thomas is looking evil and everything. I said, Thomas, what are you saying? What is happening here? And y'all, that was the Bold and the Beautiful day. A whole mess. Listen. I was one of those people that said, I think Thomas should be with Douglas, but they should, it should be on, okay, you could have him for one day and then maybe 2 days. It should be a transition. Now, he shouldn't be with him at all. And Thomas, and I hate that they use Douglas in this kind of storyline with Thomas. Like, it's not a father-son. It's always Thomas using Douglas. And that's one of the reasons why I had said a few months ago that Thomas is always going to do it. He's going to do something that ends up giving Hope full custody of Douglas. And he is like, I don't understand how anyone could think that Thomas, what he's done to Brooke, made him stable, because that made him unstable. And how anyone would think that, oh, well, he's a great dad. How is he a great dad calling CPS on himself? And now he's almost threatening little Douglas the way he said that. So I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you tomorrow for another episode of What Happened on the Soaps, the Bold and the Beautiful edition. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.